So the book was originally called 45 Seconds for that exact reason, that 45 seconds before that accident, I wasn't ready to change. I hit the bottom. I scraped the bottom of the barrel that the human soul can experience. And then I asked for a way out. I promised. I declared. Tears were streaming from my face.
Save me and all.
I said, I promise. In the morning, I will get it right. I swore on my soul to the universe that I just wanted to be at home with my mum. I just wanted to go home, and the next morning I would get it right. And 45 seconds later, I crashed my car, had critical head injuries, drowned in my own blood, and ended up with 44 metal plates in my skull, shattering my back, and spending a week in a coma. So everyone's at where they're at. This is like Jacob's ladder, okay? It's a sliding scale of ascending and descending points of consciousness. But after you experience the universal consciousness, or if you have a near-death experience, you can't put the genie back in the bottle. I've got to either reject my knowing.
Unlearn it. Yeah.
You cannot. I've either got to say that where I went, which is more real than this conversation I'm having with you right now, I've got to say that's a lie, right? To uphold an illusion, or let the illusion fall away and expand to a higher state of consciousness and trust in myself, which I've done for 14 years.
When you went back, they would have given you a lot of healing as well.
All I know is the moment I popped out, I felt electric. Like every cell, 50 trillion cells were vibrating so fast. It's like a fan. You know, when it slows down, you can see the individual fan blades.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's spinning that fast, these vortices of energy that make up every atom, that make up every cell, that makes up every organ in the human body, they were all vibrating at the highest frequency that can exist. And I knew I wasn't my body. I knew that this shell had nothing to do with who I was.
No.
And that love, and I don't mean love as in the way most people think about love. This isn't puppy love or Hollywood love or love that requires some other person next to you.
No.
This love,
it's like your whole being.
It's a return to what we really are. It is actually our natural, authentic state of existence beyond name and form. But here in this three-dimensional reality of space and time, we identify with objects and labels and our name and our past.
See, it's even working up to fifth dimension. That gives you more of an insight into, I know where I'm going now.
The best way to scientifically explain is to look at what the quantum physics have said about the unified field of information. That the quantum physics has finally caught up with the mystics of old. That beyond separation and duality, we exist as infinite, eternal, conscious love.
But
in an infinite now, there is no time in that place. It is all time.
If I have someone coming in suffering from anxiety or depression, I cannot tell them that. They won't get it.
People have been... No.
I've got to start right from the beginning.
Absolutely.
To move them into a place where...
And that's where I start with all of my workshops. I start at the foundation.
And you can do that because you've been there.
Yes, exactly. All these experts talking about health and healing, all these experts talking about mental health with their little prescription pad. I've been as low as you can go. Now I don't have any of those problems. I beat it. It's healed. Okay? It's a mood that we go into. And once you understand that there's a higher truth, that there is actually a choice, that our level of reactivity, our level of suppression and avoidance of what is, our refusal to accept, to express who we really are, to let ourselves feel the emotion, leads to this whole cacophony of made up mental illnesses that are manifesting because of a resistance to the true self, to a higher truth, because we're attempting to live from this story that we're all separate, that being vulnerable is weak, that you evolved from a monkey, that, you know,
I'd forgotten that one.
yeah, this is what I mean. When I sat there in ICU and I'm looking up at the ceiling and I can't move and I'm 42 kilos and I was in so much pain, I can't even put it into words. It was like it broke me, and yet it gave birth to me. Eckhart Tolle talks about it. I was so present with my pain, so in the power of now, that it went from chemistry, suppressed emotion and chemistry of blame and shame and hatred and all of that. It just unwound and back into energy. That's what inspiration is. Inspiration is the movement of energy up the spine. And I felt so happy, so glad to be alive. I cried, I let some tears come, and I knew I had a blank canvas. This was the starting point of my life. I was happy, and there was trepidation, there was some fear, there was all of this mixed in there, but the underlying current, the glue that held it all in, was I knew that I could overcome anything that came at me, and that it was going to be an opportunity. I knew somehow this was going to be the greatest thing that ever happened to me, which is why the first thing I asked, no conscious thought, just the first thing I asked is for my mum to take a photo of me with my thumb up. The very first thing. And I couldn't lift my arm. I could not move my arm off the bed. So my brother lifted my arm and I managed to get my thumb to go up. And I knew that photo was going to be so important for the rest of my journey. And I've got that as the yardstick of the true potential of the human spirit forever.
And if you hadn't been at that low place, you would not recognise what you have achieved.
It's the ultimate polarity between the 2 points. The dark night of the soul. Yeah, it's the way of the cross. It's the old-fashioned way of reaching enlightenment. And enlightenment is just the acknowledgement of the gift of life, the acknowledgement of the oneness of all forms, and the end of suffering. That's all it is. People think it's all this weird woo-woo stuff. No, that's enlightenment. That's what it is. It's the end of suffering. That's what they say in Buddhism.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess my yardstick for what's possible is being suicidal as a little boy. Like I was, you know, in primary school with that level of pain in me, and then 10 years battling and fighting mental health.
I've forgotten that part. Yeah,
drugs.
Because that is what started your journey.
Absolutely. So there's a diamond in everything. You got to sift for the gift.
Yeah.
I get out of hospital and I see the file on the computer with all the photos of me in a coma, and Mum had written Damo's disaster. I just right-clicked it and wrote Damo's deliverance, and then set about recreating my life, healing depression. That's it for drugs. That's it for cigarettes. That's it for alcohol. I don't even drink. And then healing myself, because it's obvious. Your thoughts, choices, actions, and beliefs have created you as you sit here right now.
But Damien, just think, if you hadn't had that accident, where would you be?
It's the greatest thing that ever happened to me. So this is from grief to gratitude.
Yeah.
You move from grief to gratitude. So it was painful. I would never take it away.
No.
I am blessed I hurt no one else that night. I am blessed that my body has healed. Okay? But I would not let anybody take away my car accident.
You know, it's so interesting because people that have been through the most horrific traumas, they don't want that experience taken away because it's made them what they are now.
Bob Marley said, you only know how strong you are when being strong is your only choice. So it's not, the measure of self isn't like when things are just ordinary or things are bubbling along. When crisis or adversity comes upon you, that's when you find out the measure of self. That's when you find out whether or not where you actually stand, because it's easy enough to bumble along through normal life. But
it's when there's a crisis that you actually find
a
out.
death in the family, physical injury, disease,
it makes you wake up.
world events. So you can either be part of the problem and be reactive and go along with the crowd, or rise up, stand up, expand consciousness, and be the example.
And this is my strength.
Yeah, this is the change I want to see in the world. So I'm going to be the living expression of it.
Yeah.
Because like I said, no one, I don't care what the letters are after your name, can take away my experience. No authority figure can tell me what my body is capable of, because they were wrong. I have no pain and disability in my spine. Zero. My back is so strong, fit, and healthy. And they told me I'd be permanently disabled. Permanent ongoing pain, painkillers, no working out at the gym, no running, no bungee jumping. All of that nocebo, the voodoo curse, put on me. And I just kept saying, thanks for your opinion. You're talking about someone else.
Yeah, that's right. That won't happen to me.
No. If you accept, surrender, and believe in the never diagnosis, which I did with my sense of smell, and move into fear, you cut off the body's ability to heal. You shut down the innate healing that the body does. Okay, this isn't done consciously. You don't, as a kid, cut yourself and then go, please heal for me, cut. Some intelligence comes in and heals the cut for you. But when they said I would never smell again, it traumatized me. It moved me into such levels. It was like shell shock. I had like post-traumatic.
Because there was something that...
Because it was so closely linked to memory and emotion and bonding and love and your partner and everything. It's like smell is so important, and flavor and taste. And I remember shaking from the fear, and I went to expert after expert after expert. And every single one of them said there is nothing that can be done. It will not heal. And then 7 or 8 years later, my smell came back. So there you go. And it came back when I embodied wholeness. When I let go of a mental label that I had.
That belief that your smell would never come back.
That it would never come back. And I went, well, if I'm whole, then I'm healed. So I can disidentify with that old version of me. People go, oh, that's just denial, that's denial. Well, call it what you will. When I denied it,
have beautiful names.
I've been able to smell ever since. I do not have normal smell. Some days I can't breathe through my nose at all, but some days I'm smelling all throughout the day, and it's there, and I can taste my food and the flavors there. Okay? So...
And actually you don't realise how important those things are.
Until they're gone.
Yeah.
Until they're gone, absolutely.
And that's really a lesson with everything.
Yeah, everything is all perception and belief. Like we were talking about before, those school kids, highly, highly allergic to poison ivy. And tell them, we're going to wipe you with poison ivy, but just use just an inert leaf. Just, it's not poison ivy at all. And you wipe it on their arm, 100% of them have a reaction to it. And then you take the real poison ivy, put it on their other arm, tell them it's nothing, and 82% of the kids. And people go to me, oh, this is all junk. You're talking about mind over matter and belief. Everything is belief and perception.
They've always got to reason their way out of it with some kind of rationality.
Well, it's just our conditioning. Until I had my car accident, I believed that things are the way they are. I remember driving home from the hospital, looking around going, can't fit that back into this framework anymore. I can't have both worldviews. I got to throw out the junk, which is the conditioning, and realize that I've come back with a higher truth. We are all equal. No one's better than anyone else. This entire universe is all sacred expressions of the higher consciousness through different form. Becoming self-aware through a human nervous system, we dupe ourselves into believing that we are the image in the mirror. The ego loves that, but that's not who or what we are. Not even close.
That's just superficial.
It is.
But you know,
it was needed to bring us to where we are. You know what I mean? Like our survival mechanisms and the ego is there to keep us safe. And it's like the universe meets you halfway. The truth is you've got to move first. That's the thing.
Right.
People
you
think...
You have to give up something
Yes.
to make space for something else to come
You
in.
can't live in two lines of time at the same time.
No.
So when one door opens, inevitably the other door has to close.
And how often do we say that?
But then what we do is we shut the door that opened to go back to the known. We run back to where it's safe and familiar. And this is our comfort position that we justify and uphold. But the magic is on the other side of that door. That's why in the workshop, this is exactly what, I'm talking about in here with the deep dive into the known and the unknown. And that you have this energetic and chemical connection, even addiction to every person, place, and thing in your external environment. And it makes up the known you. And that to break that and to create a new personality, you need to step outside. Close the door.
Yeah.
Yep. But there's a key. You need to unlock the door that is your new life. Okay. And it's all about your heart's desire. It's about what do you value? What do you care about?